Hello everybody, Arash Salehi is here, and today we are talking about the basically sculpting and painting Bulbasaur character from the Pokemon series inside of ZBrush. Let's start it. So I start with a sphere again, and I use the primitive shapes. A sphere for the bodies and the legs. If you see the legs are leaning toward the body because the quadruped characters, usually their bones are leaning toward each other, toward the center of the body. And the advantage of using the primitive shapes is that it gives me different polygroups when I merge all of them together and make one mesh out of them. So by having the base mesh with different polygroups, I use move brush with a big size to make that basically big shapes and fix the silhouette. The lower part of the bottom of the front and hind leg are a little bit basically smaller and tinier, so I use move brush to do that. So remember to look at your model from different angles, bottom, top, side. So I am adding the eyeballs using Subtool Master. You can find it in Z plugins and the mirror option inside of the Z plugin, Subtool Master and mirror option. I had a shortcut for that in my pop-up menu. So when I have that eyeballs there, I can basically start to sculpt the eye sockets more accurately. I increase the resolution of the Dynamesh for the body, so I have more resolution to work with. Constantly I have my reference besides me and I'm looking at it. It's measuring the different parts of that head toward each other to see everything is the relationship is working or not. I don't just focus on one part and say okay, I will sculpt this part, and after that when I'm done I see that is not working based on the whole part of the character. So you need to compare different parts with each other to see if it's working or not. So again, use move brush to make everything soft. For this kind of characters, everything should be soft, and also I use a clay build-up to fill out the gaps to make everything round and nice. So I use a mask technique and basically it's 3D gizmo to make the holes for the claws, and I started with a sphere and the clip curve brush to remove the half of it, and later I use the move brush to form and shape it's basically the claws and turn them into Dynamesh. When you're in Dynamesh, if you use the 3D gizmo and hold control and move the part that you are on it, it's duplicate that and basically mask the original one and give you a duplicate version. I did the same thing for the claws, and in this way I can copy them to the front claws and make a copy of them for the back claws. And I'm making that plant that is on his back. I turned up symmetry for that because it has 5 parts. Sometimes when you turn off the symmetry, it gives it better artistic look, and right now I merge it, that plant one with the body. Right now I want to start to remesh it. I'm drawing the guidelines, Z-remesher guides. You can find it in the, if you hit B, you can find a specific brush for that, Z-remesher guides. So, and also I'm using the use polypaints feature of the Z-remesher to add more density in a specific part of the mesh. By using this tool, I'm trying to remesh it. But if you want to, your low-res mesh will be completely accurate. You need to do it in software and 3D packages like Maya, 3D Studio Max, and so on. I'm refining that and digging inside of that eye socket, smooth out the transition from the eye socket to the face and the cheeks. Use damage standard to emphasize on that part, and use a standard brush to make the lower lip. And again damage standard, turning off the symmetry. So right now you see that I don't have access to this one because the head was basically masking this part, and so I use a technique that when you select and when you go to the level 1 of your subdivision levels and select part of that, basically polygons, and hit Ctrl Shift and X, you will grow basically the selection. And in this way I grow all of my selection for that, basically the things that was on his back, so I can mask that part and work on that. So I'm starting to add more definitions around the claws, the body, using both standard brush with lazy mouse and also clay buildup. If you are new to ZBrush and you haven't used ZBrush before, even though you want to be a character artist for realistic characters, sometimes if you start to sculpt this kind of stylized characters, it helps you to understand the shapes and the tools better, and you can apply it to the realistic characters later. So I'm using a mask technique to mask the parts that this character has marks on his basically skin, and Control Alt to remove the areas that I mask it wrongly, to clean up the mask, have a nice edge around the basically these patches. And I changed the material. I used the basic standard material for sculpting, and when I want to paint on something and render it in ZBrush, I use skin shader because this gives me its true colors in comparison to the standard material. And the corner of this shape should be round, shouldn't be that much sharp, so I try to mimic. Okay, right now I reverse the mask and I started to fill out it's basically the area that I masked it with the darker color. So I had a border but it was too thick, started to do it again. It gives a nice contrast. Right now you see the claws are black, don't worry about it because I haven't assigned the color to them. We will go through them in a second. And again the same techniques, selecting parts of the mesh, hiding that, and hit Ctrl Shift X to grow the selection and grow the visibility. So because I wasn't sure what color I should use for eye, I tried some basically shade of this color, basically the purplish, pinkish color. So which one more saturated, less saturated, which one works better. The way that I'm drawing these strokes, I'm fading them at the beginning and fading them at the end to make a nice transition. that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully you learned something out of that. Have a great day.